Hi, this is Steph and welcome to my channel. In this video, we will be talking about visa application, like the processes on how to apply for a visa, and the location that you will be going is in the United Kingdom. Iba-iba kasi yung requirements ng different kinds of visa. So just to be clear, I am working online, this is sponsored, and this is tourist visa, specifically a business trip.
Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're giving me wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, well, I don't wanna jinx it, baby.
The first step that you need to take is to know your visa type. Kasi iba-iba kasi yung visa type ng tourist visa, or they sometimes call it, under the website, it's called the standard visitor visa. So under the standard visitor visa, iba-ibang types siya. Merong for medical purposes, for business trip, for study or academic reasons, and many more. You need to know the type of visa that you will be applying for so that you will also know the validity period of your visa. Kasi iba-iba siya ng validity. Merong 6 months, 1 year, or more. So you need to know this. And also, the fees depends also on the type of visa that you will be applying for. Second step that you will need to take is to apply for the visa online. So you will go to this website. This is the government.uk website. So you will be applying for your application online. So dito mo siya gagawin lahat. And I cannot walk you through it now because I am done with my application, but I will tell you what are the needed information, usual questions that you will find in this website. You will need to provide the following information in your online application. So number 1 is the dates that you are planning to travel to the UK. So dito, dapat certain ka na what are the travel dates that you intend to. So it's the start date and the end of travel. So need siya, hindi mo siya pwedeng iisipin mo pa. So the moment you apply for your application online, you already have this in mind na. Second is where you will be staying during your visit. So this is very important because when they examine your application, they need to know where is your specific location. May matitirhan ka ba doon or something. Third is how much you think your trip will cost. So this is also important for them to know if meron ka bang budget for the trip, because they will match this cost to the amount in your bank statements or your, your capacity to travel, something like that. And the fourth one is your current home address and how long you've lived there. So basically, this is the information dito sa Philippines, where you're currently staying at. And then also, they need to know your parents' names and dates of birth. So if you fill out mo din to. And then they will need to know how much you earn in a year or if you have an income. So sometimes, I think you can convert it to GBP or in pesos. So for as long as you have your income, you know your income for the current year. Or I think there's also an option for it to be monthly. So you can put it there. And then you will just fill out details of any criminal, civil, or immigration offenses you may have committed. So para lang siyang yes, no, something na pag-fill out. And then depending on your circumstances, you might also need to provide details of your travel history within the past 10 years, your employer's address and telephone number. So, dito, need mo siya ilagay kahit you're working online, you need to put the information of your employer or your client, they say, and your partner's name, date of birth, and passport, because sometimes pwede mo siyang isama, di ba, your partner. Just like in my case, so when I was invited, my partner was also included. So, parang sabay na siya, basically, yung application. Though individual kayo, technically, but malalagay mo siya sa application if you have a partner going with you, so something like that. And then the name and address of anyone paying for your trip. So this is for the sponsored. So just like us, we are sponsored. So kailangan ng name ng sponsor, which is my client, and then the address. and then the name, address, and passport number of any family members you have in the UK. So they also need to know if meron ka bang kapamilya doon, or if wala, it's fine. And then a certificate proving that you've had a TB test. So this TB test, before I was so worried because I thought I needed this one. But then for tourist visa, which is less than 6 months, ito yung qualification for a TB test. So hindi na siya required. So again, if your visit is a tourist visa which is less than 6 months, no need for TB test. However, if it exceeds 6 months, again, as I've mentioned, different visa types requires different validities. So if lumagpas siya ng 6 months, this is the time that you will need to have a TB test. And then sa TB test, meron silang parang accredited center. Nasa Manila yata sa Makati. So dun mo siya kailangan i-take. So when you apply for this, I think before ka mag-VFS, going to the VFS, yung place or center for verification and biometrics, you need to have or you need to spend some time for your TB test. And then put a grace period then. Baka kasi matagalan yung TB test results. So you will be also asked for the reason of the visit, and depending on your answer, a list of requirements will be provided. So in our case, di ba nag-fill out na kami online, so I've listed down or inputted all the information that is required for our visit. Tapos meron kasi dong section na mag-ask sila, what will you be doing in the UK? So based on that answer, a list of requirements at the end of your application will be given. So in our case, these are the requirements being asked. So number 1, the mandatory requirement is your passport or your travel document. So secure a passport that is valid, hindi yung expired na passport. And then other documents that are relevant for the travel is number 1, the evidence of funds available to you and which are clearly accessible by you. So, anong provide ba namin dito na paperwork or documents? So, in my case, I provided my email from TransferWise or Wise because, again, I am working online, so I don't have that regular payslip which local employees have. So, I just printed out email notification from Wise for them to see my salary every month. And then, if you have PayPal statements, that would be fine. And also your bank statements. So dito sa bank statements, make sure that this is the bank account where your salary goes into. Kasi imamatch nila yan. So for example, may dineclare kang income na ganito yung income ko every month. But then when they check the bank statement, hindi nila yun makita na amount. So basically, that's one of the reasons why meron hindi na-approve for visa because it is not consistent with the document that you're submitting. So make sure that the amount that you're declaring can be found in the bank statements that you submitted. So that's one way para mas madaling ma-approve. And they say need ng ITR, but in my case, I did not submit any ITR na because I think the intention of the ITR is for them to know how much you are earning. So in my case, I just made sure na meron akong bank statements, I also have my pay slips and they are consistent with each other, and that would be fine. Another document that they will be requiring is the evidence of support that your sponsor will be providing and how they will provide it. So in my case, I asked my employer to provide an invitation letter, his bank statements, and also I secured the return tickets because this is very important. For the invitation letter, this should be provided by your employer or your client. So make sure na if invited ka by the client and he sponsored it, you should coordinate with him and maybe as well draft an invitation letter. So in our case, since my husband and I were invited to go to the UK, so parang isang invitation letter na lang ang ginawa niya. So what are included in the invitation letter? So the name and the passport number of me and my husband and our address also. Next is the nature of the job, but this is my job na. He explained in the invitation letter what is the nature of my job. It's work from home, and he assured that I will not be working in the UK, like I will not be extended my trip in the UK, so something like that. Parang yung intention is you make the assessor or yung nag-evaluate ng application mo believe that you will not be staying there for long. It's just a business trip. So something like that. And then put the reason for the trip. So it's a business trip. So in my case, parang tour of the physical site or physical office, and then training. So that would be the reason. And then, how is the sponsor related to the applicants? So, yon, employer mo siya, client mo siya, you're working with them. And then, the details of support. So, in this case, it should be detailed. So, the amounts that they will be providing, the sponsor will be providing, the accommodation, where you will be staying at, the transportation, so something like that. And this should be supported by some documents. So, for example, ang amounts. So, need ng sponsor mo to provide for bank statements para makita na meron talaga siyang pera. So, in our case, my client provided bank statements for at least 6 months, within 6 months na bank statements. And then for the accommodation, I asked him to give me utility bills para makita lang yung place. Dapat mag-match din yung, how do you call that? Yung address sa utility bill sa address na nilagay mo sa application where you will be staying. So again, consistency is very important. And then, what else? Yung return tickets pala, it's very important kasi di ba may nilagay kang date of travel and the date of return. So it would strengthen the application if may nakita silang return ticket. So because the reason for that is alam nila na babalik ka talaga sa Pinas. And then another document is the evidence of the relationship if any of you and the sponsor. So what I provided is the certificate of employment and compensation. So I think yun lang naman yung kaya kong ma-provide na evidence of the relationship. So certificate of employment kasi makikita doon na siya yung client mo and makikita doon how much you will be earning. So something like that. And then another is the evidence that your sponsor is not or will not be in breach of UK immigration laws at the time of your visit. So as simple as passport ng client mo or your sponsor. So I just asked for the passport. So yon, binigay naman niya, kahit scanned copy. And then next is the confirmation from any sponsoring organizations in the UK outlining the full nature of business activity you are undertaking. In this case, invitation letter will suffice kasi I just made sure in the invitation letter that it is very comprehensive na makikita doon lahat, like yung reasons. Basta pagbasa ng nag-evaluate ng application mo, parang satisfied na siya. So, ganun. And then, lastly, is the confirmation from your employer confirming the reason for your visit, outlining the full nature of business activity based in the UK. So again, the invitation letter will suffice. Kasi di ba, nilagay mo na doon yung reason for your visit. So, makikita na talaga doon lahat, actually. So, ayun, parang all in all, parang hindi naman masyadong madami yung sinubmit ko. For as long as ang ginawa ko lang is inisip ko, what if ako yung nag-evaluate ng application? Papayagan ko ba tong lumabas ng bansa? So something like that. Will the requirements suffice? Ma-afford niya ba yung trip? So parang ganun lang. Wag na masyadong madaming submission of documents because the more documents you submit, mas matatagalan yung processing ng application mo kasi madami silang i-verify. So that's it. Okay, what is the third step? After you filled out your online application via the website is you pay for your fees online. So again, online na lahat, so you pay for your fees. So how much ba is the fees for the visa? So again, I've said that you need to know the type of visa because it also varies yung fees. So for example, in my case, standard visitor visa for business trip cost only £100. So the maximum length of stay is 6 months. So £100 is something like 6,000 plus or mag-budget ka na lang ng 7,000. Depende sa exchange rate. So for example, standard visitor visa for medical reasons, £200. So these are the list of fees and the maximum length of stay that you need to know for your application. So after that one, after you paid for your visa fees, you need to book an appointment to VFS Makati or meron sa Cebu. So this is for your verification and for the biometrics. Stamp, and then picture taking. So in my case, in our case, we went to VFS Manila. Even though I'm from the province, I am from Mindanao, so we still went to Manila because they say mas madali daw yung processing kasi head office siya. So we went there, but before that, we booked an appointment, of course. So there's also an option, di ba, you need to go there for you to get verified. So, merong option na yung documents mo can be scanned online para di na siya hassle going there para mas madali na lang yung processing. And then, meron din option that yung people from VFS Makati will be the one to scan your documents. Pero there is an additional fee. So, in my case, parang I prefer na i-scan na lang by myself because para sure ako na makita ko talaga yung documents na submit. Ano pala guys, yung appointment for the VFS, makikita mo din siya the moment you apply for a visa application online. Parang merong link na you will be redirected to the VFS Makati site or VFS Cebu site for you to book your appointment. Sa visa pala guys, for tourists, standard visitor visa, it is said in the website na dapat you should apply for it mga 3 months before your travel date because the reason is baka matatagalan yung processing. In our case nga, parang short na kami sa time kasi we applied online application August 30 and then our booking for VFS Manila is September 12. And then I indicated our travel dates as November 7 up to November 24th. So parang less than 3 months na yon kasi yung counting guys, yung counting of 3 months na processing is from the date na nagpa-biometrics ka. So imagine, September 12 kami nagpa-biometrics and then ang nilagay ko sa application na travel date is November 7. So that would be less than 3 months. So what I did is I availed of the priority visa. Meron kasi siya, merong standard lang na processing for the visa. Merong priority visa which costs 17,000 for each applicant. And meron din super priority visa na super bilis na lumabas yung result, maybe 24 hours. Yung priority visa, mga 5 or basta within 5 to 7 working days, alam mo na yung result. So we availed for that, that's 17K. And then, how do you avail for the priority visa? So you can avail it online, pwede siya during your application. Pero in our case, hindi ko siya na-avail because nagdalawang isip ako if I should avail or not. But then when we arrived at the VFS Makati, parang I said, I need to avail. So doon na kami on-site nag-avail, so it's possible. And then, after mo na ng biometrics, guys, after your VFS parang booking or appointment, you just need to wait for the verification from the VFS. So they will be texting you and they will be emailing you. So I received 3 emails. So diba September 12 for the biometrics and then September 13 I received an email saying that they will be forwarding the application to UK Visa and Immigration. So I received that one. And then parang September 15, I received 2 emails again saying that the visa application has been dispatched already. And then I think after 5 or 4 days, mga September 21, we received the passport. So madali lang siya. But if you are from the province, they say that the processing, yung delivery ng passport is matatagalan, mga 4 to 5 working days. But if you are just in Metro Manila, madali lang siya. Siguro once they approve it, you receive the email, baka they will already give it to you na a day after, so something like that. Let's have the summary of fees for the visa application. So the visa application is, again, as what I've said, if it's standard, it's just 100 pounds or almost 7,000 pesos. So 7K in Philippine pesos. And then we availed of other services like SMS, you will receive notification via text message for the updates of your application. That's 207 pesos. And then we availed of the courier service for LBC. That's 794 pesos. And then we availed for priority visa. This is optional. So that costs 17,000 each. So if your flight is parang short na kayo sa time, again, dapat 3 months before the travel date. So parang if last done na lang yung time and you are not sure if mapaprocess ba siya on time, you can avail of priority visa. And then lastly, the cost of the plane tickets. So round trip to UK. So I think those are the costs that you need to consider for your visa application and going to the UK. So that's it, guys. So I hope you learned a lot from this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment down below. And do not forget again to like, comment, hit the notification bell, and subscribe to this channel. See you again in my next video. Bye!